Hey, what's up and how's it going, all MRBers? I'm Mike McRock for the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show, and right now, I'm about to give you my review as well as the results of this week's episode of TNA Impact. And it is the show before their pay-per-view event this Sunday, Lockdown. So the one big positive I really enjoyed coming out of this episode of Impact Wrestling, the show before Lockdown, is how they balanced every single match that's on the card on the pay-per-view. You have, the week before you have so many segments for one story, and the next week you have very little, and the week after you do a few more. So I like how they're doing it. And case in point, the 4-on-4. Now, it seems to me that they're focusing more on this than the World Heavyweight Championship match alone, just for this show, the show before Lockdown. And I think they've done a really good job in executing the story with the 4-on-4. What happened was that the show kicked off with Bobby Roode and the Broman, Zema Ion, and later Austin Aries. But Bobby Roode talks about his match, the 4-on-4 upcoming this Sunday, and then Austin Aries comes out and he wants to chip in. He wants Bobby Roode's 10%, and then they decided to cut it even, 5% split between the two of them, and then you have the Bromans come in and chip in as well. So everyone is wanting a piece of TNA. And I like that because, it shows that that the heels on Bobby Roode's team want a piece of that pie, and it shows to me that the heels are doing something right when it comes to the storytelling. And later on, what happened is that MVP comes out and he's about to reveal the fourth member of his team. And before he could get to it, Dixie Carter comes out and says that that no matter what, I will stop at nothing to keep my job as a position of power, and basically tells MVP that she don't care who MVP's mystery partner is, and then he reveals it to be Jeff Hardy, and then Dixie Carter goes out in a fit and says, no, you can't have Jeff Hardy as a partner because of his contracts and stuff like that, etc., etc. And then MVP starts to poke fun at Dixie with the Texas accent, and then Bobby Roode steps in and just basically tells him like it is, and then all hell breaks loose. And then we get to the 3-on-3 elimination match. What happened was that throughout this match is that Bobby Roode, MVP eliminated Robbie E, and then Austin Aries eliminated Eddie Edwards, and then Bobby Roode eliminated MVP. And that was interesting because usually when it comes down to eliminations, you would expect to have the captain face off with the captain one-on-one in this match. So I like how it never went in that direction. It went into a different direction when Austin Aries and Bobby Roode had the advantage when Davey Richards was alone in the ring. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And what's even more interesting is that if you look closely in the audience, a fight started to break out. And I don't know if TNA had the mindset, okay, we need to not close this off just yet because there's something happening in the audience, or if TNA decided to go in a storyline perspective when it comes to Davey Richards and his injured shoulder, because what happened was that Austin Aries came in with a steel chair and started attacking Davey Richards, and hence giving him an injury. I thought that was pretty interesting, and you can go both ways. To me, it's a bit of both because of what happened in the audience. I went to a TNA wrestling match and a fight in the audience broke out kind of thing, or if they just decided to go in that route of developing the storyline throughout the show. Either way, you can look at it both ways, like I said. So to me, that was really interesting. And if that's the case, if it was the fight broke out that they decided to not close this up just yet, TNA, I applaud them. They're quick on their feet. And like I said, if that is not the case, if they wanted to go this storyline route with Davey Richards with the injured shoulder, again, they're great either way. And what happened was that we got to see a couple of backstage promos with Davey Richards, the Wolves, and MVP. MVP telling Davey Richards that I've known you for a long time, and you have a lot of heart, and you have a lot of guts and courage, and I think you'll make the decision to go out there and try to win one for the team, try to get the advantage. And Davey Richards had a deadline. He had to have 1 hour from now to make his decision. And also we saw MVP pretty much flipping out on Austin Aries for turning his back on him and doing what he did to Davey Richards. And when we got to the final thing with the 4-on-4 match at Lockdown, it's the match between Bobby Roode and Davey Richards. And what happened was that Bobby Roode came out, told Brian Hebner to start the 10 count. And so the ref started counting, but when he got to 8, the music hit. I don't know if, to me, it just felt weird that the referee stopped the count because his music hit. I don't know. To me, the ref should have continued to count. I don't know. It's just one of those nitpicky issues, I'm nitpicking on, but what the heck. But with that aside, I can understand they want to develop the story and have it come to a suitable conclusion. And what happened was that Bobby Roode and Davey Richards were in the ring, and I think, to me, they told a really good story with this wrestling match because Bobby Roode, throughout the match, attacked the injured shoulder of Davey Richards, and Davey Richards was selling it very good. To me, it felt like he was injured throughout this entire match, and maybe he was, and if he wasn't, either way, I'm very good with it because Davey Richards made me believe that he was injured, and how he worked it when he was trying to climb up the ropes and not getting there and just was in pain with his shoulder. I loved Davey Richards. He was gold. He was selling it very well, and Bobby Roode kept targeting that shoulder, was dominant throughout this match, and Davey Richards just wouldn't give up in this match until in the end Bobby Roode made Davey tap out. And this was, to me, a well-developed good few segments for the build-up to this 4-on-4 match, and it's a match I'm really looking forward to. But it's not the most interesting match I'm looking forward to. It's actually the James Storm and Gunner match, because to me, those two one-on-one inside a cage, it's actually much more suited than anything else that's on the card because of their styles inside the ring. Gunner came out, he cut a promo, and to me, he kind of misstepped a bit and kind of caught himself and then started again. Even though that happened, he was pretty good on the microphone. He talked about his military and how the steel cage will be his battlefield. James Storm came out and said that pack a lunch because there's going to be an all-day ass whooping, and then Gunner decides to make it a last man standing, even though we never really got the answer from James Storm to accept the challenge. It leaves that question: is it going to be a last man standing? To me, this is a little bit too much for one match because just the steel cage alone is enough for Gunner and James Storm. You don't need the last man standing match. To me, it would just kill the tone, I think, in my opinion, going into this match. And it's like something out of Vince Russo's booking. So, no need to go any further. But to me, like I said, this is the match I'm really looking forward to at TNA's Lockdown pay-per-view event this Sunday. Also on the show, we got to see Samuel Shaw in a series of segments and a match as well. And to me, Samuel Shaw has really improved this week when it comes to developing his creepy character, and it's working. What happened was that Samuel Shaw, we saw backstage, and he said he's going to create something beautiful in the ring. Samuel Shaw came out, and before his opponent came out, Mr. Anderson came out and cut his promo and called Samuel Shaw a creepy bastard, and the way he introduced him as well, and also introduced his opponent, Eric Young. It wasn't much of a wrestling match because there was hardly any wrestling moves throughout this entire thing, but to me, this was more of developing Samuel Shaw into his creepy role, and using Eric Young as that stepping stone to gain that momentum going into Lockdown to face Mr. Anderson, and they're doing a great job with it. I have absolutely no complaints when it comes to developing Samuel Shaw's really creepy character, and he's working on his facial expressions a little more as well. The way he sold his expression when Anderson called him a creepy bastard was tremendous, and when the match was coming to a close, Samuel Shaw used the tea he brought out to use on Eric Young, and then throw him to Mr. Anderson, and have Samuel Shaw use that submission hold on Anderson. And I like Taz here bringing up the background of that finishing maneuver. It's kind of a jiu-jitsu kind of Japanese maneuver. I can't remember the name of it, but you can comment below and tell me what it is again. But I like how announcers bring up the history of a move, because it shows the importance of that hold, and it's important to Samuel Shaw's character because it's something different we never seen before, that a wrestler never used in a long time, and they're doing a great job doing that as well. Also, we saw Ethan Carter III come out, and he cut a promo about Kurt Angle, how Kurt Angle sucker punched him, and he told him that he's a Carter and you cannot sucker punch me because I'm a Carter. And he basically said, never meet your idols, and never meet your heroes, because he'll get sucker punched. And he went on to say how he bet Sting and became the new American icon, and he will solidify himself as that when he beats Kurt Angle at Lockdown. That remains to be seen when it comes to Kurt Angle's standpoint, because he came out and called him an American asshole. I thought that was pretty funny. And said that his short career will be short-lived, and he's getting the crowd all pumped up. He gets into ring only to have Ethan Carter not touch him, not to get involved with Angle. And then when Angle was going up the ramp, Ethan Carter comes back and attacks the leg of Kurt Angle. And I like it because to me, they're developing the story where Kurt Angle might tap out to Ethan Carter at Lockdown. It would be a surprise factor, I think, because you hardly see Kurt Angle tap out in any matches. To me, TNA would make a great moment if they do that surprise factor at Lockdown. And the way that they're developing this match at Lockdown, again, I like it. Even though Ethan Carter's promo was a little fuzzy, it was weird and awkward, it suits his character as well, so maybe that's why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. But overall, like I said, they're establishing this feud very well with Ethan Carter and Kurt Angle. Also, we saw a match between Gail Kim teaming up with Lady Tapa and Alpha Female taking on ODB, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rayne. There was one thing I liked in this match, and I'll get to the stuff that I think were just completely horrendous that came out of it. But when Velvet Sky was hitting the Alpha Female, I like how, it didn't phase her at all, and she kept screaming at her. The little things I really enjoy when you want to establish your big imposing female wrestler in the Knockouts division. I like that. But what I didn't like is that Velvet Sky went over Alpha Female in this match. To me, that just told me that TNA has lost hope in developing their imposing figure female wrestlers, and that was just a bad booking decision, in my opinion. And on another thing is that going into Lockdown, there's a TNA Knockouts Championship match between Gail Kim and Madison Rayne, and they end with the story between Velvet Sky, Chris Sabin, with Alpha Female being involved. Come on, TNA. You have a Knockouts match coming into Lockdown, and you're ending this match with a rivalry that's not even a part of Lockdown. Why? To me, that just don't make no sense at all, because you could have done this last week as opposed to this episode, and have what happened last week happen this week. I don't know, it's just weird logic to me. So that's the one. There was not a lot of big issues I had with this show, and that was the only thing to me that really stood out as one of the negatives of this episode of TNA. And we get to the main event, and it was Samoa Joe and the Magnus face-off. What happened was that Samoa Joe coming out and telling Magnus to get out here because I have something to say. Magnus comes out and he cuts his promo about Samoa Joe questioning his courage and his manhood. And I like how they're bringing up their history here in this promo. Magnus bringing up their tag team history as the Main Event Mafia, and before that as a tag team. And things like that, I think, really help when developing this match between these two guys. And then Samoa Joe comes back and says that it was you, Magnus, that turned on me, not the other way around. And how he has this rage issues, and he can't control it, and it could cost him the match. I like how Magnus played on that as well. And I like the words that Samoa Joe used here. He used the words like drinking the pain and shedding the blood. And the way Joe was speaking throughout this entire thing was absolutely great. I really felt his intensity, and really he sold me here. And he made me believe that he's going to be the TNA World Heavyweight Champion at Lockdown. And when you're cutting promos at the level of Samoa Joe, you want to be, better than weeks before. And I think Samoa Joe has doing a tremendous job coming off of week after week after week, and cutting promos that keep getting better and better and better each week. And he's doing a fantastic job of really soaking me in, because that's what he did here on this final segment on TNA. And then what happened? All hell broke loose. Samoa Joe made Magnus tap out, and that was the last image you saw, was Samoa Joe in the applying the rear naked chokehold on Magnus with his eyes rolled up. Now, the one thing that I got out of from this final segment is that Magnus will retain the championship, because usually the one who gets the last laugh on the show before the pay-per-view, they're the ones that lose. I hope that's not the case for Samoa Joe. I love to see TNA give him the bone, give him the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And That's what I hope. But in the back of my mind, I think Magnus will be the one to retain it because of the way they ended this episode of TNA. And that's just my opinion. They could go either way with this match, and I'd be okay with it as long as if Magnus wins, that he wins clean instead of having someone come in and cost Samoa Joe the match. I hope that's not the case, and there's this idea floating around that Bully Ray will be the one to cost Samoa Joe. I hope, for the love of God, don't do it. Don't make Magnus the weak champion and have him retain that way. Just don't. Don't do it, please. Because, to me, it just makes him not very believable. He's not very credible as a champion. He's the Randy Orton of TNA, and it's just not working. It's just not cutting out. But the whole idea of Magnus being the paper champion makes sense, because for him to lose the title at Lockdown would, to me, make a lot of sense, because he's the paper champion. And you might as well just give this title to Samoa Joe, like I said in my prediction video that I done a few days ago. And I think, to me, this card at Lockdown is, to me, the most interesting card in recent memory, in recent years for TNA. And I think TNA is going to deliver a good pay-per-view this Sunday, and I hope it doesn't disappoint. And with that being said, if you saw this episode of TNA Impact Wrestling, what did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know. Also, you can give your predictions down below of what you think is going to happen for TNA Lockdown. With that being said, you can follow MRB Wrestling on Twitter. You can like Make Rock a Bolt Wrestling Reviews on Facebook. And you can also hit that subscribe button down below this video. And on a final note, to all you viewers watching, get plenty of rest. And always do your best.